Dear students, very lovely morning to you all. Today I welcome you all in e-lecture 19. Let us enter the filthy territory of air pollution and explore its lethal consequences. In the previous e lecture, we learned that air pollution refers to any physical, chemical, or biological change in the air. It is the contamination of air by harmful gases, dust, and smoke which affects the plants, animals, and humans drastically. We also learned about primary and secondary pollutants in detail. Primary pollutants are directly released as a result of various natural or human activities, whereas secondary pollutants are formed by the reactions of primary pollutants. And we also learned about various examples of primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. We finished our previous e lecture with one unanswered question for you, that which are more harmful, primary pollutant or secondary pollutant? I'm sure you must have looked upon your answer for the same, and yes, you all are right. Secondary pollutants are more harmful than primary pollutants. Effect of primary and secondary pollutants both are lethal, but the atmospheric concentration of primary pollutants can be controlled in a direct way through the reduction of anthropogenic emissions, but cannot control secondary pollutants. So, what causes air pollution? So, now we learn what causes air pollution. So, sources may be of two types: anthropogenic, which is man made sources, and natural or biogenic sources. So, first we read about anthropogenic sources. So, this includes burning of fossil fuels. So, here we can see burning of fossil fuel. One example of burning. Single most harmful source of air pollution is the unchecked burning of fossil fuel by mankind. Fossil fuel as non-renewable sources of energy such as crude oil, petrol, diesel, coal, etc. are used. The combustion of fossil fuels emits a large amount of sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide, which is released by incomplete combustion of fossil fuel. This also results in air pollution. Automobiles, which we all are using to a great extent, the gases emitted from vehicles such as jeeps, trucks, cars, buses, scooters, etc., pollute the environment. These are the major sources of greenhouse gases and also results in disease among individuals. Agricultural activities, this you can see here, this boy is taking pesticides. So we can say ammonia is one of the most hazardous gases emitted during agricultural activities, and the other insecticides, pesticides, and fertilizers, they also emit harmful chemicals in the atmosphere and contaminate it. Factories and industries, so this is a factory. Factories and industries are the main source of carbon monoxide, organic compounds, hydrocarbons, and chemicals. These are released into the air, degrading its quality. Mining activity. In the mining process, the minerals below the earth are extracted using large pieces of equipments. We can see a crane here working in this condition. The dust and chemical released during the process not only pollute the air but also deteriorate the health of the workers and people living in the nearby areas. Domestic source. Household cleaning products and paints contains toxic chemicals that are released in the air. The smell from the newly painted walls is the smell of the chemicals present in the paints, and sometimes we like this smell. It not only pollutes the air but also affects breathing. Now, waste deposition in landfills. You all know landfills because we have read solid waste management, which this landfill generates methane. Methane is highly flammable and may form explosive mixtures with air. Methane is also asphyxiant and may displace oxygen in an enclosed space. Asphyxia or suffocation may result if the oxygen concentration is reduced to below 19.5% by displacement. Further, military resources such as nuclear weapons, toxic gases, germ warfare, and rocketry. These were all about anthropogenic sources. Now we read about natural sources. So, dust storm. This is example of dust storm, and this can cause a great. This can add a great air pollution and causing harm to the human and animals. Methane emitted by the digestion of food by animals, for example, cattle. Radon gas from radioactive decay with the earth crust. Radon is a colorless, odorless, naturally occurring radioactive noble gas that is formed from the decay of radium. It is considered to be a health hazard. Radon gas from natural sources can accumulate in buildings, especially in confined areas such as the basement, and it is the second most frequent cause of lung cancer after cigarette smoking. Smoke and carbon monoxide from wildfire. During periods of active wildfires, smoke from uncontrolled biomass combustion can make up almost 75% of all air pollution by concentration, and we can see how the wildfire is going on here. Vegetation in some regions emit environmentally significant amount of volatile organic compounds on warmer days. These volatile organic compounds react with primary anthropogenic pollutants, especially nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide, and organic carbon compounds, to produce a seasonal haze of secondary pollutants. Black gum, oak, and willow are some examples of vegetation that can produce abundant volatile organic compounds. The volatile organic compounds production from these species results in ozone level up to 8 times higher than the low impact tree species. Now the volcanic activity which produces sulfur, chlorine and ash particulate. Here we can see a volcano. Now, effects of air pollution on environment. These are disastrous. However, air pollution has been around before man evolved in the form of forest fire and volcanic eruptions. The environmental crisis that we know today began with anthropogenic introduced air pollution. Ever since the use of coal began, the greenhouse gases began to accumulate in the atmosphere. This has a negative impact on the planet, which consequently affects all life too. Today, even secondhand cigarette smoke is considered as air pollution, and the effect of this pollution are dire. So we see various hazardous effects of air pollution, which includes global warming. Due to the emission of greenhouse gases, we know there's a imbalance in the gaseous composition of the air, so temperature of the earth increases, and this increase in earth's temperature is known as global warming. We have read in detail in some of the previous lecture. This has resulted in the melting of glaciers and an increase in sea levels. Many areas are submerged underwater. Global warming can also lead to more destructive natural calamities such as storms and cyclones. Acid rain. The burning of fossil fuels releases harmful gases such as nitrogen oxide and sulfur oxides in the air. The water droplets combined with these pollutants becomes acidic and falls as acid rain, which damages human, animals, plant life, various buildings, etc. Acid rain can also change soil chemistry and which can alter plant growth. Ozone layer depletion. The release of chlorofluorocarbons, halogens, and hydrochlorofluorocarbon in the atmosphere is a major cause of depletion of ozone layer. The depleting ozone layer does not prevent the harmful UV rays coming from the sun and causes various skin diseases and eye problems among various individuals. Smog. We just read smoke in our previous e-lecture where we learned about primary and secondary pollutant. So this is a result of secondary pollutant. This is a deadly combination of smoke and fog. It is a grayish fog that is caused when the pollutants in the air, such as carbon particle, condense and mix with the fog. Smoke is extremely harmful to humans and the entire environment. It can lead to diseases such as cold, flu, irritation of the eye, asthma, and in the long term, even lung cancer. Diseases. Air pollution has resulted in severe respiratory disorders and heart diseases among humans. The cases of lung cancer have increased in the last few decades. Children living near polluted areas are more prone to pneumonia and asthma. Many people die every year due to the direct or indirect effect of air pollution. Now, how air pollution affects on animals? The air pollutants suspend on the water bodies and affect the aquatic life. Pollution also compels the animal to leave their habitat and shift to a new, cleaner environmental, a quiet place. This renders from stray and has also led to the extinction of a large number of animal species. Due to increased level of air pollution, reproduction in the animals may get damaged and reproductive anomalies may also occur. Agricultural effects in India. In 2014, it was reported that air pollution by black carbon and ground level ozone had reduced crop yields in the most affected areas by almost half in 2011 when compared to 1980 levels. Black carbon is a component of fine particulate matter. It is formed by the incomplete combustion of fossil fuel. Now, historic disasters. The worst short term civilian pollution crisis was the 1984 Bhopal disaster in India, which we cannot forget. Leaked industrial vapors from the Union Carbide factory, which is a pesticide factory. This killed at least 3,787 people and injured around 5 lakh people. The United Kingdom suffered its worst air pollution event when the December 4 Great Smog of 1952 formed over London. In 6 days only, more than 4,000 people died, and more recent estimates put the figure at nearer 12,000. An accidental leak of anthrax spores from a biological warfare laboratory in the former USSR in 1979 near Swellsburg is believed to have caused at least 64 deaths. So, this all happened, but unfortunately, we still did not learn any lessons, yet are continuing to make some mistakes of harming our environment. Now, preventions. Air pollution control is an wondrous task as there are a large number of pollutants involved in air pollution. Some of these are difficult to detect even. However, these can be some basic approaches to control air pollution, and it is said that prevention is better than cure. We can prevent pollutants of air from being produced by various ways. So, what are the various ways? So, use of the energy efficient appliances, whether the domestic level or industrial level, we must push for appliances that use energy efficiently, which result in complete combustion of fuel, as incomplete combustion causes air pollution. Shifting industries. Another possible solution to reduce the harmful effects of air pollution is to shift the manufacturing plants, factories, and industries to remote areas with a low level of population. By doing so, you can ensure that population in the urban areas decreases over time. Using modern technologies, with technology making great advancement, there are new technologies available that can help reduce the release of pollutants in the air. Air filters, scrubbers, precipitators are just a few examples of these modern technologies. Shifting to natural gases. Instead of using exhausting fossil fuels, shifting to greener option is no-brainer. For example, using CNG, which is compressed natural gas instead of petrol or diesel, is a great option and is a great success. Minimize air pollution. Always try to minimize smoke emission as it contributes a lot to air pollution. One way is to compost dried leaves and kitchen waste instead of burning them. Composting will also give you organic fertilizer for your garden. Other tips include replacing old wood stoves or gas furnaces, avoiding solvents, and most importantly, do not smoke in the home. By minimizing and reducing the use of fire and fire products. Since industrial emissions are one of the major causes of air pollution, the pollutants can be controlled or tolerated at the source itself to reduce its effects. For example, if the reaction of a certain raw material yield a pollutant, then the raw material can be substituted with other less polluting materials. Carpool. Forming and implementing a carpool will reduce the number of cars, thereby preventing air pollution by cutting down the use of fossil fuels. This way, it will help in the sustainable use of fossil fuel and its conservation for the future generations. Vehicle care. Timely servicing of the car helps to keep it in a good condition and also minimizes fuel exhaust. Driving the car at an average speed and turning off in traffic are the thumb rules to save fuel. Make sure to use unleaded petrol and opt for regular pollution checking of your car. Public transport. Whenever possible, try to travel by public transport. This helps in two ways, prevents air pollution and increases public income. If you are going to a nearby place, go by walking or use a bicycle instead of using your vehicle. The objective is to minimize the use of fuel as far as possible. Alternative energy sources. Another effective way to prevent air pollution is to use alternative energy sources such as solar energy, hydroelectric energy, and wind energy. Nowadays, sophisticated technologies such as wind turbine, solar water heaters are introduced to generate electricity and other energy forms for household users. Saving energy. Saving energy will, of course, help to prevent air pollution. Switch off the lights, fans, air conditioner, televisions, and other appliances when not in use. You can also share a room with others when the air conditioner or fan is on instead of switching them on in every room. Fuel substitution is another way of controlling air pollution. In many parts of India, petrol and diesels are being replaced by CNG, compressed natural gas fueled vehicles. These are mostly adopted by vehicles they aren't fully operating and ideal emission engines. There are various types of apparatus of modern technologies which are used to control air pollution. Some of them are particulate scrubbers, electrostatic precipitators, and baghouses. So, particulate scrubbers, wet scrubber is a form of pollution control technology. The term describes a variety of devices that use pollutants from a furnace flue gas or from other gas streams. In a wet scrubber, the polluted gas stream is brought into contact with the scrubbing liquid. By spraying it with the liquid, by forcing it through a pool of liquid, or by some other contact method so as to remove the pollutants. Electrostatic precipitator. This is a particulate collection device that removes particles from a flowing gas using the force of an induced electrostatic charge. Electrostatic precipitators are highly efficient filtration devices that minimally impede the flow of gases through the device and can easily remove fine particulates such as dust and smoke from the air stream. Now, the bag houses. Bag house is designed to handle heavy dust loads. A dust collector consists of a blower, dust filter, a filter cleaning system, and a dust receptacle or dust removal system, which is distinguished from air cleaner, which utilizes disposable filters to remove the dust. When you see in newspaper or hear weather report that pollution levels are very high, so it may be useful or it is advisable that you should limit time for children playing outside or your jogging time. When you do exercise outside, stay as far as you can from heavily trafficked road, then shower and wash your clothes to remove fine particles. And basically, people of any age group can be affected by air pollution, but some people are more vulnerable, such as elderly people, children, and people suffering from lung diseases. So, stay home, stay healthy, stay safe, happy learning.